welcome back to my channel, Watching Reviews. I'm Gareth, and today we're going to be looking at I'm going to do my review, for the new Avatar: The Last Airbender TV series that just came out on Netflix. So I think it came out last week, so I did binge it over a couple of days. This is coming from now. I'm doing this review as a guy who hasn't watched the cartoon series and didn't watch the movie that M. Night Shyamalan directed years ago. So I'm kind of like a fresh eyes going into this series. So I'm not gonna compare it to the others at all. I'm just gonna give you my honest opinion, like I always do with movies and that, for this series. So a little bit about the movie. First of all, the premise. The series is set in a war-torn world inspired by various Asian and indigenous cultures, where certain people can bend one of the four classical elements: water, earth, fire, or air. Aang, the Avatar, and the last living Airbender, is the bridge between the mortal and spirit worlds, and the only one capable of bending all four of the elements instead of just one. The Avatar maintains the balance of the world and nature to bring peace, and Aang is now faced with the responsibility of ending the ambitions of the militaristic Fire Nation to conquer the world. With his new companions Katara and Sokka, Aang sets out to master the four elements while pursued by Zuko, the exiled prince of the Fire Nation, who seeks to regain his honor by capturing him. So, yeah, gist of the story is that Aang is the last Airbender. We start off in the TV show where his nation, gets attacked, sneakily gets attacked by the Fire Nation, who have a comet in the sky, which I can't remember what the comet's called. Apologies, but it increases their power. So they want to take out the Airbenders because they know that's where the next Avatar, one dies, it comes out in the next nation, because it's kind of like it takes turns in each of the elements. So it's now going on to air. So they want to decimate everyone in the Airbending nation to make sure there is no more Avatars. But Aang is off with his companion Obo or something like that. It's a sky bison he flies around with. They get caught in a storm at sea and land in the sea, and his Avatar powers activate and he gets frozen. So then we pick up 100 years later, where brother and sister Katara the brother and Sokka the sister come across him and Oppo, and when he gets released, he does. So then we pick up then with the rest of the show, when it's pretty much Prince Zuko chasing after him, trying to get the Airbender so he can get back into the Fire Nation. His uncle is more of the peace loving of the Fire Nation, so he's more of an angel on his shoulder, trying to steer him in a better direction than what his father, who is just a dominant ruler of the Fire Nation. So that's pretty much the gist of the TV show. It is. I did enjoy it overall. It does have its. I do have my likes and my dislikes, as always with these type of things, but I mainly enjoyed it overall. I thought it was a very well done TV show. I did flick through a couple of episodes of the TV show after I watched this show, just to see a bit of the comparison. Like I said, I'm not going to compare it. I'm not, but it seems to go pretty much similar to that. It does follow the first season up to where the Fire Nation attacks the Northern Water Nation. It does. So we have a big battle at the end of that. So I think it does a good job overall of giving you a little bit of action throughout the whole series, but building it up for the big showdown right at the end. And it is a big showdown. It does do a really good job of a very good battle at the end of the season. It does. Some of the main actors you got in here. You got Ang, who's played by Gordon Cormier, does a very good job of playing the young Ang, who coming into the 100 years in the thing, everyone he knows and loves is pretty much dead or are dead, pretty much. So there's him trying to navigate being the Arbiter to protect the world, and his emotions of not being able to see anyone he loves anymore. But there is a couple of good scenes with him in this movie, in this TV show. One of my favourites is where he has an interaction with Prince Zuko, and he explains to him that when he was younger, he had friends in the Fire Nation. He was wondering if them two would be friends if they knew each other back then. So you do get some nice emotional scenes like that with him. You got Katara, who is the younger sister of Sokka, who is played by Kia Wentio. She does a pretty good job. I don't think she's the strongest actress in this movie, but she is young, so hopefully if they do a season 2 with this, she builds more into it. She does, but she is a waterbender who is starting off her waterbending things, so she's learning as well as Aang is during the show. It is. We do have her brother then, Sokka, who is Ian Owsley. It is, so he's in charge of the Southern Water Nation, who was pretty much all young kids and all, because the early adults went off to battle, and that. So him and Katara does join Aang on his journey to learn all the elements, and for the airbending, waterbending, firebending, etc. All them. It is. So his journey is pretty much him more learning to be a leader and stuff like that, and learning along the way. We do have Prince Zuko then, who is played by Dallas Liu. He is a troubled boy who, unlike his father, does have a little bit of a compassionate side to him. He is more like his uncle in the show. It is, who was played by Paulson Hewan Lee, who plays his uncle, Ira. If I butchered that, apologies. But they are more like a kin, where Zuko's only doing what he's doing to please his father, who wants him thing, after he showed a little bit of weakness at a war council one time. But it does show he has more of a compassionate side, like his uncle, who is the more compassionate of the Fire Nation. And then we do have as well Ken Liu, who plays Commander Zoa, who is probably the main antagonist of the movie. He's like, the minute he gets brought into this series, he pretty much is like the main antagonist. So he's trying to undermine Zuko, tries to kill him at some point as well, and also he can get the Airbender and he wants to become the new Lord of the Fire Nation. So you do have some little plots in it as well, with him trying to betray Zuko, etc. and that. So that's pretty much the actors. We'll go into my likes and dislikes now. So my likes are, like I said, I did like the emotional aspects of this movie, especially Aang, the brother and sister, and Zuko and that. You get a lot of emotional scenes with them trying to navigate their life and be who they want to be, and that. Well-made movie overall. There is a few in the dislikes I will come across for that, but I think the CGI done a very good job in most parts, and like pretty much a TV, like, because it is a TV show, they do put more CGI into other scenes than they do in others, so some does look a lot better than others. So obviously the end battle scene, they're going to plow a lot into that, and the beginning of the movie, mostly, and the middle ones and all that. You don't get the best green screen in most of it, but it is a very well made and a good movie, fun movie as well. So they do I did notice a little bit in the cartoon and all that. Obviously it's a cartoon, so it's a little bit more uplifting and a bit more fun, so they tried to keep that in with this show as well. Good acting overall. I think some of the younger ones weren't brilliant, but I think they've done a good enough job, and hopefully they'll build onto it, like I said before, in season 2, if there is a season 2. Um, some excellent fight scenes, but the majority of them, in my eyes, were the hand-to-hand combat ones, the elemental ones, which is a bit of my in my dislikes, to be honest. It felt a little bit slow when they were fighting each other in with element against element. It is, but overall, very good fight scenes. Also, they do bring in Zuko's sister into the fold early as well, because I did read up that she comes in later on in the sea. I think season 2 or something in The Last Airbender. So they do bring her in earlier, and I can't remember her name, to be honest. I don't know if it's Azula. It might be, to be honest, but they are the yin and yang of that family and all that. She is more like her father, who wants to be dominant and just cruel, etc. And like the brother, who has a bit more compassion to him and all that. So I did like that they brought her in early, because she is pretty much going to be the main antagonist, I think, going forward, as well as her father as well. So I like that as well. And probably my favourite character of the movie was King Boomy, who is the Earthbender, Earth Nation king, and who did know Aang when they were younger. So he is over 100 years old, which Aang does mention how he's still alive and that. But I liked his eccentricness of the moving of the in the show, and it did remind me a bit like the old kung fu movies, where you would dress up a younger guy in older makeup and all that, but he has the movement of a younger person. But I did like that character. It did make me laugh a few times as well with that. So yeah, that's my likes. My dislikes, like I said, some of the elemental fights were a bit slow and sluggish, I think, during the movie and that during the show. So I thought they took it a bit out of it, to be honest. I have one weird one dislike, and it's not really a dislike, kind of a nitpick, to be honest, because the majority of this movie felt really too clean. Like everything was clean, even after the battles, the clothing, all that just felt very clean afterwards, and you didn't feel any dirt or stuff like that after the battles and all that. So I know it's kind of a weird dislike, but yeah, it was a part of one. And the only other thing I have as well is, I think it probably needed an extra 2. It's 8 episodes long, this season is. I think it needed another 2 just to flesh out a little bit of the story, just to get where Aang needed to get. It is. I think they just jumped the point to point most of the time. It is. So, but yeah, a couple of episodes extra, I think, would have fleshed it out a bit nicely. So that is pretty much my review for this movie, this TV show. I keep saying movie, TV show. I do give it a solid 8 out of 10. I really did enjoy it. And I hope they do a season 2, to be honest, so it carries on with this. But yeah, good 8 out of 10. I do recommend watching it if you do over next on Netflix and that. So yeah, that's my review for this. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment below and tell me what, if you've ever seen the Airbender movie or the cartoon, tell me the differences if you've seen the show as well, if there's any major differences. It is, and tell me if you enjoyed it, and if you'd like to see more reviews like this, please subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next time. Bye.